Okay, so are you from around here? You're from Grass Valley, is that what you said?
Yeah, so I'm from Northern California,
Yeah.
Grass Valley, Nevada City. Or that's actually the bigger town. I was from a much smaller little town right next to it, but no one's ever heard of it, so I never really say it, but it's called Camptonville.
Camptonville.
Yeah,
Cool, I love that.
Little mining town. Yeah, it's small. About 300 people live there. My mom was the principal of the school, now superintendent, and is retiring. So small little town, small community.
It's funny that there's a Nevada City kind of mining town in California, but then you have like Virginia City in Nevada that was a mine, like a gold mine.
Isn't Nevada City like an actual Hallmark movie? Like, isn't that like the place? It's just like perfect and cute.
Exactly. It's a little Victorian village.
Oh,
yeah, they have
cute.
a Victorian Christmas. The Cornish Christmas is between Grass Valley. And it's actually in California.
Yeah.
In Nevada County, which is also, so it's always confusing because people always think, I'm from Nevada, but Northern California.
Northern California, that's cool. Interesting side note before we get started is that Virginia City produced so much gold that they basically say that the reason why San Francisco was built and became such a great city was because of Virginia City and all the wealth that was created out of that gold mine.
Dang. We got to find more gold mines.
I mean, yeah. And what's really crazy is there's still tons of gold there, but it's so fine that they can't really do anything with it.
There's a business opportunity here.
Yeah, come on.
Want to go in?
Go in.
Yeah, I'm in.
Okay.
Yeah, I know where some mining
I don't know
firms
what
are.
we're going to bring to the table, but
There's Travis with his pickaxe and oh my gosh.
okay. So what brought you to San Luis?
Yeah, so I've been in San Luis Obispo for 7 years, and so I was a Chico State graduate in, I think 2007, and one of my old college roommates, his family owned a winery in Templeton. He was born and raised. So two of my good friends,
Luke
Utzen, you know?
No
Luke?
way, I love Luke.
This is
Luke
weird.
Luke and his younger brother Max.
That was easy to pinpoint that one.
Yeah,
That's
Pastoral
awesome.
Cellar, shout out in Bethel Road.
Yeah,
for
man, they're
those guys.
amazing.
They're great. Yeah, maybe they've been on the podcast.
Not yet.
ask them.
I should have them.
Yeah. But so, Max and Luke, I actually lived with Max, Luke's younger brother, for a little bit. And
No way.
in 2013, I did a wine harvest with them. It was kind of an experience I always wanted to check out and see what it was like, and did that. And after that experience, I was like, Central Coast is beautiful. If I ever have the opportunity to get back down here, I would take that. So in 2017, that opportunity arose, and been here ever since. I wasn't sure I was going to be here for 7 years, but now it's home. And
It's home.
it feels good.
Man,
How'd you get into solar?
Yeah, so that's actually a funny story. I actually worked at Mind Body Software for a little bit, and the owner of Photon Brothers, we were friends of friends, and like to go surf together, and kind of the opportunity arose where I knew Photon Brothers was looking to expand, and they had an opportunity. I was doing sales at Mind Body, and it fit me way better in terms of doing solar and battery storage, where I was just so much more interested in the renewable aspects of it, as well as the ability to help homeowners, save some money on their utility bills. So it was, a really easy transition. So once I got the opportunity to jump on board with Photon Brothers, it was, great opportunity.
And
Feels
so
awesome.
the owners of Photon Brothers are locals?
Yeah, so they, David Rakert lives here, actually in Shell Beach, probably 2 miles from this studio.
Nice.
And his brother lives in Colorado.
Okay.
And so they're the brothers. They started it in 2013, and 2 offices. They originally started with, one in Denver area, and then the one here on the Central Coast. So we are split between those 2 zones.
Yeah.
But I focus on SLO County and Santa Barbara County.
That's great.
Yeah.
That's really cool.
Okay, so as I was thinking through solar, my big overarching question is like, does it still make sense for people? So we'll hit on that. But with rebates, I don't know. I don't know what I don't know. So you're gonna have to educate me. But that was my overarching question for wanting to get you guys in the room and talk through this. But I guess maybe we could start with some of the technologies and like what's new with solar technology. And we're talking about batteries and things like that, but how has it changed over the years?
Yeah. I think the big difference from even when I started with Photon Brothers 5 years ago is really the durability and reliability of not only the solar panels, but also battery storage. So in terms of like when I started 5 years ago, I was selling originally like 300 watt panels that had maybe like an 82% production guarantee at the end of the lifespan, which is a lot of degradation throughout the life of that panel, where nowadays most of the panels we install are 400 watts and above, and at year 25 they're going to be producing still like 92% of original capacity.
Really?
Yeah, so that's something huge.
That's huge. Their lifespan is just skyrocketed.
Exactly. So that's where I've seen a lot of improvements within solar technology, is that reliability and like lessening that degradation year over year. And then the big thing is batteries. Batteries is the only way solar still makes sense in California.
So, okay, so we put solar on a house we owned, I don't know, maybe it was like 10 years ago or something like that. And this is a dumb question, but like, were batteries even a thing, or did you use batteries back then? I don't remember.
Yeah. So, when I originally started, we sold very few batteries. This was 5 years ago, and now it's sold on probably 95% of the jobs we sell in California.
Okay.
It started becoming prevalent for people, I think, within like 3 to 4 years ago, primarily as an emergency backup, where homes were experiencing a lot of outages because we have a lot of these planned shutoffs from Pacific Gas and Electric and Southern California Edison, where they are now, as a preemptive safety measure are on their end, they're just shutting off grids. And like we see it here all the time on
whenever it's windy or whatever.
Exactly. They don't want to have happen in terms of those fires that were started by them that, had unfortunate events. So they are having all these preemptive measures. So people are getting fed up with it and adding battery storage, even though they're on a favorable net metering. They're adding it to ensure they have some type of power source to keep their wine cellars on, to keep their fridges going, to be able to run their home business, because that has a lot of intrinsic value and a lot of value for the homeowners. And then there's also the economic benefit where you're able to now store all your excess production from the solar grid during the day, and you're now utilizing that from like 4 to 9 p.m. during those peak.
Yeah.
Exactly. So there's that economic shift with the additional incentives and benefits. Yeah. So as part of the Inflation Reduction Act of 2 years ago, that also made any type of battery install as part of the 30% tax credit. So you used to have to install solar and batteries at the same time to be able to apply the main tax incentive. But now you can just add batteries alone and still get that tax incentive.
That's too cool. So I heard that like PG&E now has, just talking about the grid a little bit, like they're putting things on power poles in these high fire areas that basically if the wind picks up to a certain level, it automatically just switches off. Is that kind of how it's working?
Yeah, I'm not exactly sure in regards to like how that shut off takes place, but we have seen like a huge uptick. I mean, I think even last week there are portions of Pismo Beach and Atascadero. It was a really hot day. It wasn't even that windy. I actually don't know exactly why so many people's power got shut off. Yeah. So yeah, it's something that we have been seeing an increase of, and we only expect that to get even worse as time goes on.
That's cool about the kind of power wall now. So like if you have solar and you didn't do a power wall because it wasn't that prevalent, but if you want to do it, now you get the federal incentive, which is pretty significant to put a power wall in.
Yeah, it's huge.
What is that rebate right now?
So the main incentives for battery storage in California, this area for PG&E is going to be, so say if you bought a battery, whatever the system cost of that battery would be, you would put that on your 2024 tax return. Okay. So then once you do that in 2025, when you apply for that, you get that back in the form of a tax incentive. So it's just going to be always 30% of the full system cost. Oh, cool. But then there's also additional rebates and incentives within California through this program that's called the Self-Generation Incentive Program. And that's specific also to battery storage for the three major utilities in California, being PG&E, Southern California Edison, as well as San Diego Gas and Electric. Okay. And then they have a certain amount of funds that were given to them for homes that are in fire zones. And we were speaking to this a little bit briefly before, but originally it was for homes that had a well pump and medical baseline. But the well pump portion of that rebate got such inundated with so many applications that those funds ran out. So if you're in a fire zone and you have some form of medical baseline, which would be like the most common medical baseline device would be something like a CPAP machine, or any other type of medical device needed to be used during an outage, then you would be able to qualify for what's called the equity resiliency rebate. And that would cover close to the full cost. There's going to be some additional net cost, but there's other benefits that help, almost pay off that net cost. So yeah, you end up getting around $13,200 per battery for that equity resiliency. And then if you don't have a medical device, there are some other smaller rebates where you can get about $2,000 to $3,000 back per battery.
Yeah,
Dang.
for a lot of people, internet is a medical need because they just are like, oh my God, I don't have my internet.
What am I going
to
do? So how much are these power walls then? I'm trying to figure out, like if you get $3,000 to $13,000 incentive, they must be pretty pricey, huh?
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. So the price of one Powerwall, if you're doing like a battery by itself, is $18,000 or like $18,500. Two would be around $31,000 of this Powerwall 3, which is the newest iteration, the newest version of the Powerwall that we install, which also comes with its own like built-in solar inverter into it as well. So if you wanted to add on additional solar capacity, or if you don't have solar yet, then it's really easy, the combination between adding the solar and battery at the same time.
And can you add a battery to an existing solar system?
You can, yeah, definitely. That would just have to be wired electrically in two different ways, where you could either utilize the existing inverter. The inverter is what is converting the direct current that the solar panels are capturing into alternate current, which is what our homes use. So with the Powerwall 3, it comes with that built-in solar inverter. So you could wire what's called AC, which you would then just be utilizing the existing inverter and not need to change that. Or you could do a DC wiring system, in which we would actually rewire the entire system and use the inverter within the battery.
Okay, so the options there. And then you mentioned that it can save energy during the day to then use it at night. Is that something the system just does on its own? It just knows when to pull from the batteries?
Yeah, so any new systems that we add on, we do, there's different ways you can program the battery, but definitely the best way to use the batteries is what's called a self-powered mode. And that's just so simple to do from the app on the phone that you have with the Tesla Powerwall. So you just pick the program, it's self-powered mode. And what that would mean is as soon as the solar is not producing enough to meet the demand of the house, you're now utilizing your battery storage. And typically that's happening between the windows of like 3 to 4 p.m. that the solar is not meeting your full needs. So now you're utilizing your battery, and you can then program within the app that you would want to draw the battery down to like 50% or 60, 70, 80. So you can always change that on a daily basis, but usually people just set it up in the beginning. We help with that process as the installer. And now you're using 70% of your battery storage from the windows of 4 to 9 p.m. to avoid those peak rates.
On the batteries, you know how like you recharge a battery and then the next time it doesn't quite charge as much. And then the next, is that still the case with these things, or do they fully charge every day and they just keep on lasting? The life keeps lasting. Like, how long are these lifespans? And like, I mean, I think of like all the old, like we recharge the batteries, they slowly stop working type of thing.
Yeah, that's a great question. Yeah, the degradation is something still there, just like a car battery. The batteries actually like to be used on a daily basis. So they work better by doing this cycling, this load shifting or load arbitrage that you call it, in regards to like utilizing it during those peak times. So the batteries don't want to be sitting at 100% every day. They actually would degrade quicker in that regards.
Interesting.
But the Powerwalls have a 10-year warranty. So we're really expecting them, at a bare minimum 10 years, but really probably 12 to 15 years. And they guarantee, I think, a 70% of the original storage capacity at year 10. So there is some degradation there that you have to take into account.
It's about 30% maybe.
Exactly. So, and that's going to be the worst case scenario. If anything does happen to the batteries within that first 10 years, the installer that you work with, and with us, with Photon Brothers, we work directly with, in the case of the batteries, we install our Tesla Powerwall 3s. So we work directly with Tesla to get that replaced and then provide the labor to replace it.
That's cool, man.
Where do the batteries go, and what's the footprint of these things, or wall print?
Yeah, so that's really where there is a lot of room for improvement in regards to the recycling of batteries. That's definitely something that's like happening in the marketplace because there's such a need for it. So there already are companies that recycle not only solar panels but also batteries. But batteries are still pretty new technology, so there's not like, say, a ton of batteries out there that are requiring it. But now every single job in California more or less is going to be utilizing batteries. So that industry will be ramping up, and there will be a way to recycle the batteries and, get back as much as we possibly can from those batteries to reuse as much as we can. But that industry is still growing.
How big are the batteries?
They're not too big. Well, they weigh about, I think like 280 pounds for the Powerwall 3. Yeah. So, they would either, typically they rest on the ground and are mounted to your wall as close to your meter as possible. And they are typically installed outdoors. But in terms of their height, they're about almost 4 feet tall. I think, just under 4 feet tall and just under 2 feet wide. And then they sit off your wall about 7.5 inches. Yeah.
Have you been reading anything about like the hydrogen batteries?
You know, I'm not. Yeah, I'm always like reading in. I don't know the details of it, but yeah.
I mean, how crazy is it going to be when like you have like these very efficient hydrogen batteries with a renewable, or not renewable, but like a resource that's not polluting nearly as much. And I mean, it's kind of cool. So I think the battery technology is going to improve pretty quickly. So
I agree. Yeah, it's really exciting to be in that industry, the battery and solar industry, just because the technological advancements that are coming are so exciting, and it's fun to be a part of.
Okay, let's dive into the nitty gritty on the NEEM 2 to 3 and what happened and what's the difference. And I think like if you could give us kind of like an overview of, you know, like there was this big push and now we're in 3. Is it still worth getting solar panel type of thing? But kind of explain the whole like change in the price structure.
Definitely, yeah. So solar is definitely worth it, primarily because PG&E in Southern California, Edison, the utilities charge so much here. We pay, I think, more than any other state. Maybe one like at Massachusetts or one of those states in the East might compare. So, you know, being in California, we all can feel the pain of our, you know, residential utility bills. They can range, you know, for, you know, smaller homes, $200 to larger homes up to $1,000 or more. So by being able to offset that, it definitely makes sense to still do solar, but now you have to do solar with batteries. And the reason for that is under the net metering 2, you would get a 1-to-1 ratio for every kilowatt hour that your home wasn't using. So a really simple scenario I kind of describe to homeowners when I'm on a consult with them is that, say you produce like just 1 extra kilowatt hour from 12 to 1 p.m. That 1 extra kilowatt hour gets sent into the grid and is running your meter backwards. So if PG&E is charging, say, 20 cents at that time, you would now be getting 20 cents of credit onto your account. So it's a 1-to-1, you know, like for like, seemed like a very fair ratio.
Yeah.
What net metering 3 is the net metering and interconnection is like how much do they value every kilowatt hour that's being exported into the grid. So now we're on net metering 3, which is also known as net billing tariff. Under that, we now have what's called an export rate schedule. So they have for each month and each hour, they have a set amount that you would receive for any kilowatt hour that gets exported into the grid. And on average, that's about 60 to 75% less than what it was before. So under that last scenario where you'd get 20 cents, now you'd only be getting about 5 cents of credit. So that's why solar only doesn't really make sense anymore, because you'd have to quadruple the size of your system to, you know, wipe out your utility bill. Or what you could do is add batteries. So under this new net metering 3, what now you'll do is that you size the solar and batteries appropriately, where all your excess production, instead of running into the grid or getting exported into the grid at that lower amount, will now be stored in your battery. And as soon as the solar is not producing enough to meet your demand, as we mentioned with that self-powered mode, you're now using your batteries in the nights, evenings, mornings. So you're now importing and exporting from the grid as little as possible.
Yeah.
So you're kind of running off grid, and that's the key scenario that we're trying to create.
Yeah, with the new electric bills that have been coming out, I've seen people out there with the candles and crap, you know.
Exactly.
I mean, it's pretty crazy if you look at your PG&E bill and the rates that they're going up substantially, which is...
Yeah, my kids don't understand why I'm always yelling to turn the lights off and stuff.
And the new rates, like next month or whatever. I mean, it's like it's pretty darn substantial what they're doing. You look at that, you're like, oh man, this is gonna be painful for the average American.
So is there a break even time frame? Is it hard to say, because I mean everyone's kind of different size homes, but is there an average or anything?
Yeah, so I mean it is different for each home, because it all depends on like your solar exposure. If you have an ideal roof, if you're doing a ground mount versus a roof mount. But for example, I was just on a consult this morning, and it was up in the Atascadero, and they had a nice south-facing roof, which is ideal for solar. And their payback was, and this was like a 8 kilowatt system size with 2 batteries. Their payback period was around 6 years, where
Wow.
That's if you're just adding up, all their utility bills of what they would have paid PG&E, and that's anticipating about a 4 to 5% yearly increase within PG&E's rates. But what we've seen in the last few years, if not last year, there's been even much greater, and they've already notified us of even more increasing rates. So that payback period could even shrink even more.
Yeah.
And that is accounting for the tax credits that they would be getting. So their net cost after 6 years of what they would have paid PG&E, they're paying off for their system.
Cool.
That's cool.
Yeah.
That's really cool.
Is there a loan program? Can you lease them? How does that work? Or do you have to pay cash, or how does it work with
so
financing?
Some companies do leasing agreements. With Photon Brothers, we actually don't do any leasings currently. We do have lenders that we work with. There's actually a really great finance option throughout California with specific credit unions. It's called Go Green. So that's the lender that we work with primarily. Rates are still much higher than they were when I started 5 years ago. But we have like a 5-year loan at about 4.38%.
Whoa, that's a great deal.
Yeah, it's an amazing deal. We're so excited to be able to offer that.
So wait, say that again.
It's a 5-year loan at 4.38%.
We should call them about real estate.
How are you doing that?
That's
crazy.
I'll give you their contact. That's Calco's.
Can you
Credit Union.
refinance solar panels? I'm curious.
Yeah, I'm actually not exactly sure. Yeah,
It'd be interesting to find out, because I know a lot of people, including myself, that has like 11% loan on the solar panels right now.
And that's what we were offering, even a couple years ago. But the specific, I think there's some incentive that they have also with the state to be able to offer it.
Yeah.
And that finance price is the exact same as the cash price. Their 20-year loan, though, is closer to like 7.38%. So it does go up considerably, the
That's
longer
a great
the term.
deal.
Yeah, 7.38 is still really good.
So from a real estate perspective, if I may, we've seen people with power purchase agreements, and I've heard the arguments why that's the best thing to do. And every time I line that up, I go, I don't think so. And I've seen leases, and leases are pretty expensive, and you don't own the equipment on your home. And then with most of the installers, if you do a loan, they still warranty the equipment, right? How long do you guys warranty the equipment for?
Yeah, so we have a 25-year warranty on the whole system other than the battery, but we have 25 years on the panel, on the inverter, on your roof, on our workmanship. And then key also is that we have a 25-year production guarantee, which is specific to how we design the system. So we have within our proposal and contract, what the system would have to produce at year 1, 2, 3, all the way down to year 25. And if we don't produce that, then we actually have to compensate the homeowner. So that provides all the benefits of the lease.
The benefits of the lease, yeah.
Yeah.
And that's why I guess also it's important that you use a reputable local, I think, company that has a name that they want to maintain in our area, like Photon Brothers. And so, you get all the benefits and you own the equipment. And so when people go, hey, Jeff, I want to do a power purchase agreement or a lease or own, and they go, what's better for my resale value? Every time, hands down, I'm like, own it.
Yeah.
Own it. And if you have a good financial year or whatever, one, you're going to get the tax rebate, use that money to pay down the loan if you want. And then you could probably pay it off, the cost of money keeps going down and down and down, right? So it's like, buy that thing, pay it off if you want or don't or whatever. But if you own it, every time with the transfer, it's so much easier.
It's always a bit of a headache. Well, not always, but most of the time when we're representing buyers who are buying a home with a leased solar. You've
got someone that has no interest in the sale of your house, has to approve the lease transfer for the escrow company to be able to insure it.
Yeah.
It's a pain. And then the power purchase agreement, I've dealt with those where they have they never have, but it's delayed escrow and has been absolutely hell to deal with the power purchase agreements, because those guys don't care. They don't even have a department. They're like, we just need someone authorized, and gosh, what's their phone number? I can't remember right now. It's just bad. So I love the idea of owning with a loan.
Yeah, short-term loan works great. Pay cash, whatever, if you can.
Yeah, definitely. And that's kind of the argument. I tried to, when I'm doing these consultations over the benefit of owning versus PPA, it's exactly that, and especially the resale value, that the headache it could cause if they do transition away from their home. And overall, the ROI is just going to be way better if they buy it outright. Yeah.
This is a random question, but we've been talking a little bit more about roofs and insurance and all that kind of stuff.
More, yeah.
So because it's just been so difficult with insurance companies insuring homes because of the age of the roof. So when you guys go to install a system, is that something you think through about the condition or age of the roof and whether you will or will not install a system on an older roof?
Definitely, yeah. So we're not, roofers, so we're not going to be able to do like the full roof assessment. But we've certainly had many jobs where we've came on a site visit, which would be happening like right after a homeowner decided to use Photon Brothers. And if their roof, the shingles, you can just see like the fiberglass coming off. There's like you can tell the conditions. We do always recommend they consult with a roofer to get a second opinion. And also we do, as part of the consultation process, kind of figure out when their roof was initially installed.
Yeah.
If they have only 5-10 years left, we tell them that, it might be worth it to, redo your roof prior to getting solar, because putting on the solar and then needing to redo your roof in say 5-10 years, that can be another headache that they probably don't want to have.
Yeah.
Because then you have to take off the solar, you have to rewire the system, take off all the racking and railing, come in, do the roof, and then come back out. Our team come back out and then reinstall the panels, and that ends up being about $300 to $400 per panel. So if you have 10 panels or system, that's another $4,000 to redo your roof. So it's definitely something that you need to consider when you're getting solar. And it's good to know your age of your roof, and then if you're kind of unsure, we do our best to consult you on that.
Cool.
Sweet.
Yeah,
That's good. Man, what a great interview.
Yeah, Monty, everyone.
Monty's the man.
I want to get one of those shirts too. Those things are sweet.
Yeah, this is a marine layer. I don't know if y'all remember marine layer. It's unfortunately no longer in San Luis.
Oh, right. Yeah, downtown,
Yeah.
right? Wasn't it?
It was, yeah.
Is it a Lulu? What is it? Lulu or what
right
is it?
next to Lululemon.
Okay, yeah.
But
I can't even get the words out. It's so expensive. I can't even say it.
yeah.
Okay, cool. Anything else? Did we miss anything?
Man,
Did we cover
yeah,
what needed to be covered?
I think you all did a great job. Yeah, I'm sorry, there are a lot of details in there.
Man, you
but
killed it.
That's good.
Yeah.
So good.
Okay, well,
Yeah,
It's good to know 'em.
What's your favorite book, TV, movie show, and what's one of those favorites for you?
Oh man, favorite book. It's kind of a old childhood one. I always loved Lonesome Dove.
Oh, yeah. Nice.
It's
Wow.
really
classic.
Is that a romantic kind of?
It is. It
Oh, my
is. Yeah.
goodness.
And it's like 1,200 pages. Absolutely
Wow.
love that. Yeah, that's one of my favorite movie is Braveheart, and I actually just watched that again recently.
I love Braveheart.
Yeah, it's such a good one.
So good.
Yeah, TV shows. I think there's too many good ones out there. I would have a hard time.
I know it's crazy how many TV shows are right now.
Yeah, I would have a hard.
What are
time
you watching now?
Watching right now? Gosh, well, I think I just. It's kind of hard for me to say, but I started watching Bridgerton.
Okay.
Yeah, but it's a good one.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't know if y'all have seen that.
I haven't seen it
It's on
yet,
no.
Netflix.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
cool.
Sweet. Okay, who is the most influential person in your life?
Ooh, that I was thinking it has to be my mother. Yeah, my mom. I grew up in a single mom household, and when I was 3, and from there on, and she just worked 2 jobs, brought us to all the soccer practices, made it feel like I had 2 parents. She was always
great.
there.
That's
And
so cool.
awesome. Yeah.
That's cool. Moms.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
Okay, so this is one of our favorites. Like, describe the ideal day on the Central Coast, and we always love to hear like where you want to go to dinner, lunch, whatever.
Anything food related?
Yeah, food related.
I love that question. Yeah. So I live in San Luis Obispo. So I usually like to start my day with either grabbing a coffee from like Field Day or Linnea's, something of that nature. Since I've lived here, I've really picked up surfing. So heading out to the coast, either Morro Bay, Shell Beach, if it's good conditions, trying to surf for an hour or 2. And then, if possible, grabbing lunch at Hidden Kitchen in Cayucas is one of my favorite places. I love a couple of my friends own that one too. So love doing that. And then, if I can find a soccer game or, some type of pickup ultimate Frisbee game or something of that nature, hanging out with friends, playing some pickleball. Those are all the types of things I enjoy.
Pickleball.
Yeah, I like to game. And then finishing off the day with dinner. One of my favorites downtown. I love Flower House. I absolutely love that place. Love Italian food. So Buena Tavola, I really enjoy that spot. And maybe trying to grab a drink somewhere downtown or a cocktail brewery, something like that.
Dude, good for you.
I'm hanging out with you.
Yeah,
That'd be great. That's my ideal day.
That's a
I think
sweet
you just
day.
said it. That's
Mine, I'd maybe throw a little mountain biking in there. But gaming soccer, I would love to play pickup game soccer. I haven't done soccer in years. It'd be fun.
do it.
Let's do it.
I was telling Travis, I had this podcast, and unfortunately I had a little soccer accident where I hit my nose right here. It's a little bit bigger, and looks like a little bit of a burn or something like that. But just kind of hit someone right in the head. So,
oh gosh.
Yeah, but it was worth it.
It was so good, man. Well, hey, thanks so much for being on this podcast. We really enjoyed having you. How do people get a hold of you if they're like, man, I want to explore this more?
Yeah, so the best way to contact us is directly from our website. So you just go to photonbrothers.com, or if you look it up on a Google search, I'm sure we'll pop up as one of the first entries there. So we have a contact form there, which would then be contacted by our team. They would reach out to you to set up information. Typically, they gather some information, or you can always reach me directly too at Monty@photonbrothers.com. But that's kind of the more typical way people reach us, is go to our website. We also have a phone number on there, and they can find us that way.
So good.
Cool.
Yeah. Thanks, brother.
Thanks, Monty. Appreciate you being here.
Yeah.
It's great.
Thank you, guys. Thank you, Jeff. Thank you, Travis.
You bet.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.